we are going to go over some top squat variations that we use with clients, tactical, and even myself to break world records. So let's get to it and show you some key variations that you need to have in your training. So the first one we're going to do is a traditional squat that a lot of people mess up. So what he's going to do is he's going to crawl under the bar. And what I like to do is for powerlifting, we want to set the bar a little bit below the trap and right above the rear delt. That's why it's, one, so important to build the rear delt, not only for shoulder health, but also to have a good, nice shelf. So you can see Teddy's got about 1.5 inches of rear delt sticking out of that bar. That bar is going to be impossible to roll anywhere, but you got to have a thick enough back in order to be able to do that. So he's going to step it out. He's going to get his feet correct, usually about 6 inches past shoulder width. He's going to have his toes turned slightly out. And the first motion he's going to do is kick his knees out and his ass back, keeping his head up. And no, it will not hurt your back to push your hips back, okay? I've been doing it for 30 years. So if you can squat like this is going to be your biggest power point that you could possibly do. Rack. All right, the next one we're going to do is a high bar squat. So what he's going to do, he's going to crawl under the bar and he's going to keep it above his trap. A lot of beginners actually squat with their bar this high, which is not really good for your neck, and it makes your back and your quads work a lot harder. So if your goal is to make your back muscles a little bit stronger and your quad stronger, a high bar squat is going to be really good for you. All right, so step it out. He's going to walk it out and get his feet right, same squat position as normal, and now he's going to squat with his high bar. Go. Now what this position is going to make him do is have to work a lot harder here. So if we do high bar squats, we're going to be able to develop a little bit more thoracic, and we're going to do a little bit more quad. Teddy's been highly coached, so you're going to notice his form doesn't look much different than a regular squat, but for most people, this is going to cause their knees to come forward. So show them what it would do to a normal person on a high bar. That's what it's going to happen with the high bar. It's going to make their butt shoot up first. That is what you're going to see for a normal person with a high bar. So a perfect person is, no matter where they put the bar, it's going to look good, like that. But for a beginner, it's going to do this. And rack. The high bar does have its place in squatting, and you want to use it as a variation, but you don't want it to have it as your normal technique if your goal is to be as strong as possible with the least amount of mileage. My opinion, the high bar causes too much back to be activated and tends to make you use too much quad, hiding what is most people's weaknesses, the hips, hamstrings, etc. So the lever point here, how long your torso is a key indicator of probably with how much you can squat. I would say that torso length and femur length are two of the most important things to depend on genetically if you're going to have a great squat or a poor squat. Carrying the bar a little bit lower is going to give you the best leverage that you possibly can in the torso. So let's see how to set that up. He's going to carry it pretty low, almost like we showed the first, what I consider perfect style squat position. Good. Now he's going to stand up. Now you notice with his bar carrying that low, he's going to have to keep his ass behind him a little bit more, or the bar could roll down his back without very much muscle. So now he's going to squat in this position. He's going to have his head up a little bit higher. Yep, and this is what it looks like. Good. A little bit deeper. Teddy's pretty tight right now because we just hit max efforts on squats, but this is going to be your strongest position here for low bar. The next exercise that you're going to have in your repertoire is the box squat. Now, the box squat has gotten a bad name for a lot of people because it's done incorrectly. A box squat should be treated as a paused bench press. So when he steps it out, what you're going to notice is he's going to sit on the box and he's not going to move. He's not going to rock back. He's not going to rock forward. He's going to lock himself in tight, right? So on a paused bench, when you come down and touch and pause, you don't move anything. You stay tight. It's the same thing that you do on the box squat. You actually, the only thing you're working on is pushing your knees out really, really hard. So in reality, your box squat, if done correctly, should be like a paused bench. It should be weaker. But a lot of people make it stronger because they feel protected, there's something to sit on, and they use it as a bouncing tool versus an actual seat. So he's going to do 2 right. Yep. 1 more. Good. Now he's going to do 2 wrong. He's going to sit, bounce, knees in, and all messed up. Rack. He just did pretty much the 2 wrong things that I see most people do on the box squat. The first one is he didn't stop on the box, which is very, very hard on your spine. And the second one is, as soon as he set, he lost all tightness and let his knees buck way in, causing the VMO and the legs to have to fire everything. The posterior chain's completely gone. So try not to do those in that particular fashion. Make sure you're pushing out when you're sitting on the box. But the box squat is a great way to teach you how to squat perfectly if you do it just like I showed you. So the next variation of the squats that I think you have to have in your program, especially if you have limited equipment and you can't rotate bars, is the pause squat. Now in the pause squat, we do this a multitude of different ways, but I'm going to give you the 3 top ways we do it. The first rep you're going to see is a 1-second pause. The second rep you're going to see is a 3-second pause. And the third rep you're going to see is a 5-second pause. Now these 1, 3s, and 5s all have a different outcome and are all different in difficulty and hardness. But what I've noticed that the pause squat does is really focus on somebody's form. Since everybody watches form like a hawk, it focuses on form at the very bottom when all the motion's gone and the body wants to get the hell out of there really fast. You're forcing it to stop. This can build a very strong starting part of the squat. Rep 1 is a 1-second pause. So you're going to see all the setups the same. His body position's the same. He's going to lead with the ass and push the knees out. He's going to sit back. 1001, up. That's one. That's one variation. Second is a 3-second pause. 1001, 1002, 1003. Good. That's a 3-second pause. And now a 5. Pushing out, sit back. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Up. And rack. As you can see, his form did not change one bit, and his body had to stay locked into that position, which is causing him to have impeccable technique in the bottom and not float left to right, forward or backward. Focus on the right muscles at the right time.
He did though, yeah.
Perfecto.
So the year was 2008. I had a little bit of a shoulder issue from a big bench press that I had just hit, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could still squat with this shoulder issue? So I went in the garage, started cutting around on some steel, and designed the first belt squat. Now, the point of this is that for some of us, all these squat variations are just not usable anymore. Our shoulders, our spine, our neck, our wrists, or our elbows are a major cause of us not being able to lift the way we want to lift. Well, in comes the belt squat, and now we can squat with all those upper extremity injuries. And, you know, even at the gym, we don't have a lot of people that are injured that can't squat with a straight bar. But we use the belt squat extensively because I feel that when you belt squat, you're able to get more squat reps and sets and volume in without the mileage on the spine, which is for a lot of us what ends up causing us to have to stop lifting is lumbar, thoracic, or cervical spine issues. So this allows us to be able to squat without vertical compression, and I consider it a huge squat variation because I use it at least every other week in the gym. For maximum transfer, you're going to notice he does not have his hands on the actual handle. Okay, so now he's going to squat with the weight loaded on his hips. You notice his lower back still sits back. He still stands straight up. His head position is still normal from where he squats, and his foot position is perfect. As you can see, this is a picture book perfect squat. This is also a great position to learn when you're sumo deadlifting. But while you're learning all these motor patterns, the weight is around the waist versus compressing the spine. And this is what I like about using this particular type of machine, is that we can learn how to squat and create the motor pattern without the compression when we don't know the motor pattern yet for beginners. So we've sold a lot of these to colleges, high schools, and pro teams based on the fact that we can squat safer and get more volume in with less mileage on the body. The next variation, if you have very limited equipment or bars, is the front squat. Now the front squat is similar to a high bar versus the fact that it's going to be a lot of upper back, a lot of core, and a lot of quad. So we're going to do this 2 different ways. I'm going to show 3 reps powerlifting style. So he's going to take it out. He's going to walk it out. This is going to force his body to have to keep his chest upright way harder than a normal back squat. But you can see he sits back. He still keeps his chest up tall. That's how we would do it like a powerlifter, and probably how I would coach it most. The next way is Olympic style. So he's going to keep his feet more linear, and he's going to let his knees go over his toes, and he's going to use this for quad development. So if you're looking for quadricep strength, this is how you're going to want to squat. Let the knee over the toe. It's going to force you to keep your chest up a little bit easier than sitting back. And it's going to make the front part or anterior part of your legs a lot stronger. Woo. Now, a lot of coaches will tell you that this type of squatting is a little bit more transfer to actual sport. I tend to disagree. I've never met an athlete with weak quads. It's usually always some form of musculature in the posterior chain And learning to sit back, you're going to be able to fire more glutes, more hamstrings, and more lower back and thoracic back, making you a stronger athlete. So if you go to a coach and they're telling you that your knees are weak or your quadriceps are weak, be wary, because a lot of times it's the opposite side of the body that's the problem, not the front side. So today we've given you the different variations of squats that we could do with the straight bar. The only thing we really specifically showed that you need specialized stuff for is the belt squat. But in reality, you need variation in your squat. You need to be able to have variability in your body so that way you don't overuse particular areas all the time. What's the matter, buddy?
Why are you squatting with him?